All right, today we're diving into something pretty intense. It's a powerful and frankly raw message that's coming straight from the heart of India's forensic science community. And this isn't just some dry analysis, This is a declaration. It feels like a line is finally being drawn in the sand after years of frustration just bubbling under the surface.
Bas, ab bahut ho gaya. Now, for anyone who doesn't speak Hindi, that translates to enough, it's too much now. And that really is the core feeling here. It's this collective breaking point for students and young professionals who feel like their genuine passion for forensic science is just being taken advantage of, systematically.
So, what's actually driving this huge outcry? Well, the source material we're looking at paints this picture of a field that is absolutely brimming with talent, with enthusiasm, but it's allegedly being choked out by just a handful of established institutes and companies. The main claim is that these big players are way more interested in profit than they are in the futures of the very students they're supposed to be helping.
Yeah, let's be super clear here. The conflict we're talking about isn't because there's a shortage of talent or passion. The problem, as the source describes it, is a system of exploitation. It's a structure where making money is the #1 goal, not nurturing the next generation of forensic scientists. And you know what? It's pushing an entire community right to the edge of a revolt.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty here, the mechanics of this whole thing. How exactly does this alleged exploitation even happen? Well, it starts the way a lot of these stories do, with these grand promises about uplifting the entire field and creating all these amazing opportunities. And right here, you can see the disconnect, and it is stark. On the left, you have all the promises. We're going to uplift the field, create jobs, build futures. And then on the right, you have the alleged reality. They filled their own pockets, they sold internships that cost a fortune, and offered courses that didn't really lead to any meaningful careers.
I want you to just imagine this for a second. You're a passionate student. You invest years of your life and a ton of money, we're talking lakhs of rupees, into getting this highly specialized degree in forensic science. You're hoping to build a real career, to actually contribute to the justice system.
And after all that time, all that money, all that investment, this is the reality for so many graduates, a monthly salary between 8 and 12,000 rupees. I mean, come on. In most major Indian cities, that barely even covers your rent, let alone any student loans or, trying to build a future. It's just a gut-wrenching return on investment.
This quote from the source really just hits the nail on the head. Exploitation is not contribution. The point they're making is that profiting from the hopes and dreams of students while giving them almost nothing back, well, that's not building a community. That's just draining it dry.
But now, something new is happening. A new dynamic is starting to emerge. And according to the source, the so-called pioneers of the field, they're starting to panic. The real question we have to ask is, what are they so afraid of?
The argument being presented here is that their fear isn't about maintaining high standards in the field. Not at all. It's actually about losing control. It's the fear that their long-held monopoly on training, on internships, on all the opportunities, is finally being threatened. And here's the source of that threat. It's this new wave of student-driven startups and smaller organizations that are popping up. They're offering real, genuine opportunities, and often for a much lower cost, which is creating actual competition. This whole new ecosystem is a direct challenge to the old guard's business model.
And to really illustrate this mindset, the source points to a perfect example, a LinkedIn post from someone they describe as a CEO type who is actually complaining about students calling themselves forensic experts in their online profiles.
You see, a real leader, as the source suggests, would see that and think, how can I guide and mentor these students? But the response described here was a call to create a regulatory body. And the argument is that this wasn't to help students, it was to control them. This is framed as a pretty clear sign of insecurity, not leadership.
So this brings us to a direct challenge, a kind of cross-examination that's aimed squarely at those established players who claim they are the guardians of the entire field.
The first question is pretty simple and direct. How many real, actual, sustainable jobs have you created for the thousands of graduates that you've trained over the years? And for the people you do employ, how many of them are you paying a decent, livable wage? A salary that actually reflects their high level of education and their specialized skills?
And finally, what have you really done to push the science of forensics forward in India? Which initiatives were genuinely about progress and not just about padding your bank balance?
And the source delivers a really stark conclusion here. The answer to all of these crucial questions is allegedly Almost none. A big, fat zero. But look, this isn't just about pointing fingers and placing blame. The message here actually pivots from accusation to empowerment. It becomes a direct call to action for the students and the young professionals who are, let's be honest, the real future of this field.
And the warning they give is blunt. These people are not your mentors. They are not your well-wishers. The claim is that their real motivation is simply to profit from the very same passion that drives young people into forensics in the first place.
So the biggest obstacle to the growth of forensics in India, it isn't a lack of talent, and it's not a lack of resources. According to this source, the real barrier is what it calls parasites, those who are actively suppressing the next generation, all while pretending they're just trying to protect standards.
So what's the path forward? Well, first, question their motives. Ask yourself who really benefits from all their so-called concern. Second, see their panicked reactions for what they really are, a sign that their broken model is finally being exposed. And third, and this is the most important one, realize that the power to build the future lies with you, the students, the innovators, the real contributors.
And that really leaves us with this final, very provocative question. The source material makes it crystal clear that a change is coming. But will the future of Indian forensics be built in collaboration with this old guard, forcing them to change their ways? Or will it have to be built in defiance of them? That is the massive question that the entire community is now facing.